In order to be able to accurately know the difference and to know what is your true heart's desire from what you think you're supposed to desire because of conditionings and indoctrinations and trainings and imitations of other people and seeing too many movies and TV shows and websites and all of that, to discover what is our true heart telling us and calling us toward, we have to reach a level of silencing the ego mind and feeling the love that comes from the depths of our being. And it comes as love. It doesn't come as a desire in the sense of I want something, I need something, I have to have this. But it comes as an overflow of a giving, of a gift, of joy, and of freeing any other from wanting them to give you something. You no longer need the other to confirm you or validate you or allow you to get something from them. There's no neediness in love. Whereas in desire, there's a core of lack and need and a wanting to fill up some sense of inadequacy. But in love, there's an overflow of fullness that simply wants to share and to liberate others from their needs, fears, and desires. And so you will find that love acts spontaneously, not through calculating and figuring out and trying to strategize, but it's simply a very innocent, pure expression of the truth of one's being. And it may be that you find yourself going to the beach, even if it's not an appropriate time to do it, just because there's that love of nature and it needed to express itself because of its love for the balancing of a life that had been too closed in that claustrophobic office world or whatever. So things may happen that don't necessarily look like they are coming from that deep love, but one can't really judge from outside what is motivating one's activity, why one came here this weekend rather than doing something else, or why one would lead one kind of a life versus another. Without trying to judge that from some egoic place, one has to simply allow the heart to express itself in that freedom of its true nature, but that must be achieved authentically, not a kind of self-deception that justifies desire by calling it love when it's not really that. And that requires a great deal of truthfulness before one reaches that point where one can accurately understand oneself. We have to understand that every ego has been traumatized to one extent or another. If you weren't traumatized, you wouldn't have an ego. You would already be in that pure soul and spirit consciousness. The ego itself is a defense mechanism, and the ego itself splits your consciousness into a consciousness that you're aware of and an unconscious that you're not aware of, and a superconscious that you're not aware of. So you get one thin slice of reality, but two slices of it you're left out of. They are still active and functioning. The superconscious you can appear in your dreams and in synchronicities and miraculous experiences, that kind of thing. The unconscious can appear in being crushed by a door or in a sickness or in other kinds of accidents. But these things will appear in one way or another as challenges that life forces you to face. So through meditation, what you are doing is you are silencing the mind that is split into desire and fear. And through the silencing of that mind, you become fearless. And when there is no fear in the mind, desire morphs into pure love. Because desire also comes from fear, because it's based on lack. You desire something to fill a lack. When there is neither desire nor fear, then what manifests is pure divine love and wisdom and willpower. Those three as an integrated braid. And then you are able to act in a way that is totally pure of heart, altruistic, filled with goodness, with love, with brilliance, with genius, and you're able to be a gift to the world and to dedicate yourself to being a blessing that can serve and bring a better world into manifestation. And so it's through meditation that you reach that essential core of goodness and of joy and of creative power that will transform you and make your life into an ongoing miracle. You can't integrate until you separate. Because if you're still identified with any of those shadow fragments, then there's no way that you can modify them. They will take over, they will act out through you. You have to separate from them and see them as shadow fragments. And that none of them are real. So it's not really about integrating them, it's about annihilating them. Okay? What you want to get integrated are fragments of your real self that have been dispersed within those different fragments. And that is brought back into the central core self. So that even when, let's say, a shadow fragment takes over and you start acting out in a certain way that later you wish you hadn't, there is some core of reality within that, but that has been somehow hypnotized or seduced into believing that what it wants is a certain kind of object that will make it feel whole, all right? And when it is freed from that illusion, it is freed from the shadow. The shadow simply is that illusion that it was under that caused it to act in ways that did not have integrity. But the real within the core of that fragment then gets reintegrated into the whole, and the shadow fragment itself falls away. Because the shadow is made of the belief that there's something I lack that I need, and that I have to act in a certain way in order to get from an other. So the shadow is always dealing with duality, in which an external other comes in front of your own inner light and creates a shadow. And then that shadow falls on you, and you fall under its influence. And so when there is no longer an object in your consciousness, there is nothing to cast a shadow. And so the shadows are eliminated in the noonday sun of the liberated self.